So, my name is Ben Smith. I've been working doing preparation for 20 some odd years, plus I'm not quite sure where I stand now. But currently, I work at Petrified National Park, and it's a really enjoyable place to work, and I get to do a fair amount of field work. Our paleontologists and our seasonal technicians and such not get to go out a little bit more than I do, which is regrettable on my part, but it's a beautiful place to work and quite enjoyable. As we've already stated, I've kind of caught understanding fieldwork as the competency I'll be speaking with you about today, and how it relates to all these others up and down the line, you know, and that was one of the really enjoyable things about working in these competencies with Matt and my other co-authors, was just trying to figure out how these all interfinger and make us complete preparators, if you will. And you know, we don't all get to go out in the field necessarily. You know, there's some of us that do most of our work in the lab, and we don't get to see the world in these, you know, kind of uncomfortable conditions: winter, spring, fall, summer, etc. But generally, it's a very fun experience, but also a little bit hectic out there, and so mistakes tend to be made. This is the verbiage of the fieldwork competency, and I think what we're going to do today is, you know, go through and parse certain phrases out and sort of look at them more critically. And I think we'll notice that awareness shows up at the beginning of a lot of these competencies. And that's a strange thing to say, you know. But if you are somebody who doesn't get to get out in the field, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aware of what occurs in the field, because it may affect your work back in the lab. And so, you know, awareness, we can't just pretend that there is no, you know, past to these specimens and no future to these specimens. They will come in from the field and they will go off into the collections. And what we do in the lab affects what can be done with the specimen ultimately. And allows us to think, you know, we need to be able to think critically about those steps and what we can do to maximize the scientific value of the specimen. And it also allows us to participate more fully in the science of paleontology. You know, there's this interplay between researchers and preparators in the lab. And if anything, we need to think about how we can more fully communicate with one another, as Mr. Brown was talking about, in order to improve our techniques as a whole in paleontology. So, first off, I guess a question that's good for audience participation is, what are the two most important things that you need before you go into the field in the first place?
Notebook.
Notebook? Yes, that's one of them, absolutely. Permission as well, right? You know, I work for the National Park Service, and we have a geeky little piece of paper with my name on it, and Adam's, and, you know, Kathy Latch, who's probably somewhere in the audience. And so we have permission to dig on our own park, right? You know, we are not unpermitted to be out there. And it's the same for any researcher who comes to the park. They all need this particular piece of paper. Because without it, you know, if you collect it without that permission, you are compromising the scientific value of the specimen, ultimately. You know, and we see that on a more global scale with things like this Tarbosaur collected by Eric Radapi from Mongolia. And actually, I think it was several Tarbosaurs that, you know, compromised this specimen. It's a strange thing. I grew up maybe 20 miles from Eric in North Florida. And, you know, we lived these parallel lives. He's about my age and all that. And, you know, one of his arguments in the court case that was brought against him was that because he had prepared the fossil, he had increased its value and deserved compensation for his work. Well, that'd be like stealing a car, right? Fixing it up, and then expecting to be paid for the repairs you did to the car that you stole. The judge did not see eye to eye with Eric, and he served 3 months in jail, which is unfortunate, you know. So back to the notebook, our first guess. Yeah, this is probably the most critical piece of field equipment you can have. Whether it's a notebook or some digital form of recording, it's all very important. Now, stratigraphy, where the specimen came from, is probably, you know, some of the first observations you need to make, but also, geospatial information. Where are you on the map? Because that will determine whether or not you're collecting that specimen legally. Photographs of where you're collecting, whether it's just a close-up of the specimen, that's important information. How you found it, where it was. And certainly take that close-up picture, step back 20 feet, and then take a picture of the specimen in context. So there's our little notebook on the rock, and you can see it in the context of the landscape, so that 50 years from now, if somebody needs to go back there, even if the UTMs from your GPS is lost or your notebook is burned up in a fire, there might be a photograph in an archive someplace, and they can still find your locality based on just photographs. Happens more frequently than we'd like to think. So a specimen with no context may be a very important specimen, like this four-legged snake that showed up in the news fairly recently. Yeah, it's an important specimen. It's amazing from an evolutionary point of view, but there's a lot of things that we can't say about it because we don't know who collected it. So we can't go talk to them about exactly where it came from. And we can't put it into the larger context of where it came from, the strata, so we don't know exactly, where in time it came from. There's a lot of questions we can't answer with that specimen. So these specimens have had their scientific value impacted, and they're essentially, doorstops. We put them on a mantelpiece, right? Now they may be a gold-plated doorstop, they may be a very important doorstop, but there's just certain things that we can't say about them, that we may have been able to infer if we knew more about where they came from. And so, if they show up in our labs, our job is to ask, is this a priority for us to prepare at this point? What kind of value will this bring to the program? Is it worth preparing right now? Yeah, that four-legged snake is very important. It should have been prepared, and it was. But if you have a stack of other specimens with really good provenance, maybe you need to work on those first. Big questions. So let's move along to comprehensive documentation. This brings us right back into notebooks. Here's a paleontologist working with 5 of them on his desk at one time, comparing localities and things like that. And I would argue that neither preparation or prep records are first collected in the lab. I would say that they're actually, first collected in the field notebook. If we just look at this notebook as an example, primary field information is collected right off the bat. Field number, date, locality, elements found, depositional environment, geologic member. It's all right here on these pages. Might be important to know about. How many of you read the field notebooks before you start preparation? Good. I would encourage more of you to do so because there's also info in here related to preparation. We saw bones in the white layer and in the underlying purple claystone. Some were sheared and shattered at a proximal end. Well, where did that piece go? Is it in a bag someplace else? Is it in the field jacket? That's good information to have. Next page. Oh, by the way, the purple layer has these little white models right near the bone surface. So that's a great clue as you're working down through the jacket, when to slow down, when to stop. The white layer is full of small bones. The bones were soaked in vinac. Well, I know that's not true because I prepared the acryloid B72 that they took into the field with them, right? So if that were to make it into a publication, that would be erroneous. So it's important to talk to your field people and educate them about what they're using in certain cases. The matrix does not easily separate from the bone. They're delicate, they break easily. There's 10 blocks and 2 bags of elements, and we took photos. So when you start preparing, do you have those 2 bags? Are they in somebody's backpack still? Are they floating around somewhere? There could be critical information that's missing. Obtaining a stable specimen. Of course we're all interested in that, right? We've been using field jackets to do this for about 150 years. Various materials have been used to make field jackets. I've seen string, I've seen duct tape, I've seen all kinds of interesting stuff come out of the field. And whether they're enormous jackets like this one that contained Utah Raptor, thank you, internet, or a more reasonably sized field jacket that is a little bit easier to transport, they are one of our primary tools for bringing fossils home safe. Now, the operation of making a field jacket has been described in several different publications over time. But here's a real quick sort of, cartoon of the process. You find something, you clear off the top a little bit. You might add adhesives at this point if the bone is, not very well consolidated. You start to undercut the fossil, maybe not swinging quite that wildly. And eventually you start to wrap it with a barrier layer, such as toilet paper or paper towels, and then plaster, and things like that. You flip it, bring it home. Seems simple enough, but a lot of issues can creep in during that process. All of us are so excited to be working in the field that we really want to know exactly what we're bringing in. And so we may actually start to over-prepare the specimen in the field, creating these complex topographies to the surface of our future field jacket. And when we apply the plaster and the paper and whatever else we're using as a separator, bones can be sort of locked in there and become difficult to remove when you finally get down to them in the field jacket back in the lab. Not enough padding. I've had situations where consolidant was applied, generally over the specimen, and then immediately paper started being slapped on, right? So they end up glued to the paper in the jacket. The plaster and bandaging was not applied to the surface firmly and tightly, and so contents may shift around in there. Poor labeling. Sometimes these things come in several jackets, and so there'll be an A, a B, and a C. And C may not have been written on, or the plaster may have been wet, and so the writing kind of sloughs off, as they're being transported from the field, and you get this sort of alien jacket sitting on a shelf somewhere that will never be touched again. It's a sad situation. So all these things need to be thought about as we're working and gathering our materials to start preparation in the lab. So we're not immune to it, PIFO. Here's a 300-pound jacket that we brought in from the field, and the original jacket, once we flipped it, we realized, oh, we didn't put more than one layer of plaster on there. So it was maybe, a single layer of bandages thick. Now, the collar that we put on was very thick, and so it all held together and flipped nicely, and we didn't have a disaster. But once we got it back home, before we could even begin preparation, we had to remove the original top, reattach or remove specimens from the jacket that were damaged, and reapply a firmer base so that when we flip it over and work from the bottom and work through all that context, we could keep the specimen safe. And that took time and money, right? That was an additional step that didn't need to happen. But the field, you're dealing with weather, you're dealing with the end of the day, and how to get out of there safely. So decisions are rushed. This is another specimen from PIFA. You can see a slight color variation along the bone right about there. The material on the left, this material, was in a field jacket, and the preparator diligently glued it all back together. And then about 2 months later, as I was getting ready to catalog this, I found the rest of the bone in a bag on a shelf. I said, oh, you gotta put this together. And unfortunately, the preparator had used super glue in the preparation of the material. It was difficult to take apart, and when he was working on that, it broke. It wasn't pretty great. And it all went together, but that's a little bit of lost data there. So could have been better. So again, ask yourself, do you have everything before you even start preparation? Have you looked at the notebook? Do you know what you're dealing with? So preserving biological and geological information. So this is a chicken bone that's been soaked in vinegar, and it's removed the mineral portion of the bone, and it's left all that proteinaceous stuff behind, and it's very bendy. And sometimes we find bendy fossils. So one of our questions as we're working on them as preparators is this geological or biological in nature? Is this because of acidic matrices or something like that caused the mineral content of the bone to be leached out even while it was being fossilized? Well, we don't know necessarily. But based on the fact that the rest of the fossils around the site have this more jagged break pattern, I would argue that the previous specimen was due to a biological, event, some kind of pathology, and that makes it a very much more interesting specimen than the other material from the site. This one is another, it's a skull. It's in two pieces, widely separated in the ground. The interior end sheared off along a single plane away from the posterior end of the skull, and that was probably because of a small fault. And so this is a geological, bit of information that we need to record. And it's also important to remember that the original jacket, the original object that they collected in the field, this large Oreodon in this case, isn't always the most interesting piece of information that you may run into while you're working through the jacket. Oreodons are a relatively common animal, but I found as I was working in tiny, tiny tooth, pinhead size, almost by accident. I would have destroyed it if I had caught sight of it. And it turned out to be the oldest tooth from a pica in North America, right? Much more significant fossil when we're talking about, the greater realm of paleontology, but it was in a jacket, that was collected for large Oreodon. So that gets to collecting in a manner that facilitates preparation in the laboratory. Another typical example from Petrified Forest, we have a Metoposaur brain case here. But it's shattered and it's on this expanding clay, and I was interested in getting some bones into the lab that were not in this condition. And it took a little bit of communication with my peers saying, where are these bones? We know they must be out there. And typically, we would find things like that on the surface. We'd dig in, and you would expect to find something nice deeper into the hill, and we would generally find not much at all. So it led to a collection that looked like this, just a lot of crumbly bits in a box, a real mess. Sometimes those messes got little tiny labels applied to them. And then sometimes, much later, a preparator may get a hold of those pieces, and then you get a hot mess like this, right? Where there's labels all over a single piece that need to be removed. But sometimes these just led to really tantalizing pieces of evidence. This is the only known skull material for Poposaurus, another Triassic reptile. The postcrania is relatively well known at this point, but they don't have heads. So this is all we have. And where's the rest of it? It was another one of these surface collections. And so the other preparators and I do a lot of field work out there, and we started to just kind of wonder about where this stuff could be. And we would be out doing regular field work and prospecting and finding all these little crumbly bits. And in some cases, they'd literally be pouring out of the hill. This is a stream of bone and matrix coming down the side of the hill here. And I'm working a little bit higher up on the hill, Kathy's working a little bit lower down. The productive layer ended up being down here by our feet. And that just seemed very counterintuitive. And again, it struck me that it's not worth messing with a jumble like this when you can get specimens like this straight out of the ground. So my co-authors on the paper I presented last year had noticed the same thing. And it just struck us that this process was violating a basic geological principle, right? Imagine being on a hillside somewhere. There's bone scattered up and down the hill. You typically would prospect to the highest occurrence of bone and dig in, right? And you'd expect to find something, but we didn't. And so we found that if we set our sights a little lower, mostly out of frustration, we would dig in and we would find a productive layer. And this happened several times, I think 8 over the course of a year. And we had to start wondering why this was going on. And we think it has to do with our expanding clays. So yeah, you'll get wetting of the clay down to a certain depth. The clays will start to expand outwards. You'll have deflation of the surface due to erosion. And then this differential wetting, very wet and damp near the surface where the rain first strikes, and then slightly drier the deeper into the hill you get. And what that leads to, we think, is that the material closest to the surface of the hill will rise up with the expanding clays perpendicular to the surface of the hill until it's exposed at the surface through erosion and more expansion. And in the meantime, you have this almost spaghettification or destruction of the fossil in between, right? Because of that differential rate of expansion. And And here's a Metoposaur skull. It's bisected essentially. This is one side of it. I put a little big eye in there just to orient you. And this side of the skull was facing the slope of the hill. And this is turned into this bone and matrix paste as it underwent this process. We found Metoposaur chunks on the outside that keyed us into that there was a specimen in the hillside. We dug in, we found this bone paste, and then finally, deeper in, there was good bone. Some quarries that we found with this method. Dinosaur Wash East. Here we are prospecting at the top of the hill, very short little hill there, a little knob. The productive layer ended up being down here. We quarried, we found many jackets worth of material, lots and lots of different elements of this creature that was previously only known from Africa, a growth series, and also tantalizing hints of other types of creatures never before seen in the park, all because we decided just to dig a little deeper. Over 800 bones or so far. And it all came down to critical thinking, you know. I, the preparator, applied my knowledge and skills to the task at hand, which happened to be fieldwork. And I was looking for a desired end product. I wanted nicer bones to work on, you know. And what that really leads to is this conversation between researchers and preparators, you know, the conservation side of this museum gestalt. And you know, here's this back and forth, but what it led to is faster, less expensive, more informative research results and preparation. So, okay, we prospect all over the world, right? Conditions in the Antarctic are going to be very different from equatorial Africa, obviously. And so I'm only going to draw on things from our park, and this will be more audience participation. So, what's dangerous in this photograph? Falling rocks. Yeah, it's a steep cliff, maybe. Oh yeah, now we hit it. Yeah, this is a thunderstorm, right? You're sitting in a slot canyon. Lightning, you know, flash flooding, all those kinds of things you need to be wary of when you're working. What about this one? Steep slope.
Sun exposure.
Sun exposure, right. Do you have your sunscreen on? I don't know how many paleontologists over time have had, you know, strange bodies removed from their nose and foreheads, you know, various kinds of skin cancer and things like that. We all know that UV exposure is bad for us now. And hopefully everybody here has their sunscreen on. And they could probably cut a few steps into this surface just to make access to the quarry a little easier. Any guesses?
Yeah.
Yeah. Improper tool use, maybe? Don't pick your nose with your rock hammer. You know, I look like I'm about to tip over. It's that same slope. You know, it's actually much more slopey than you would expect. So again, just, you know, basics. You know, if you're working in another country that you're not used to the flora and fauna, you know, is there anything dangerous in this picture? Possibly the snake, but I happen to know that wasn't a poisonous one, so I was a dork and picked it up. You know, would I pick this one up? No, that's another snake, and you know, not far away from your first picture, and it's a hoopy rattlesnake, so don't touch. Oh. Good mouse. I already heard hantavirus. We have plague in the park, so if you want to get plague, play with dead rodents. You know, if you need to clear them out of your field site, you may want to use rubber gloves, right? Have a few of those in your backpack. What about this picture? It's kind of steep, yeah. I would argue that the most dangerous thing in this picture is that, right? Your field consultant, we get high winds at Pico. It's really, really windy there in the spring. And we had a bottle of that stuff blow up into the air, and it sprayed across 5 people and hit one woman like in the face, right? If it had been another inch higher with the splatter, it would have been in her eyes and our contacts and everything else, right? So we now carry eye wash kits in our backpacks as one of our field kit things. things. We've had people get hit in the head by wind-blown rocks, literally off the ground, up in the air, high enough to hit somebody walking in the head. And also, consolidants tend to expand in the sun, in the heat. And so when you first open that bottle, there'll be sort of a small decompression blowing the stuff outward, so watch yourself. And then just right down to the things we all deal with, blisters. Do you have good gloves? Do you have your proper personal protective equipment and a first aid kit? Right? That's universal. So I guess the upshot to all this verbiage is that ethically collected specimens from the field are a primary source of data for paleontology, right? Collection techniques influence the quality of the data. Field notes often contain data according to preparators and should be looked at by preparators before commencing preparation. Specimens that we receive are often not stable and need a little bit of luck before we can even start working on them. And we need to be aware that the primary fossil collected in a given container may not be the most important thing in there. There may be other very much more important data that we could be blasting through if we don't stay aware, if we don't think critically about what we're working on. There needs to be a direct line of communication between preparators and other paleontology staff so that we can continue to improve our techniques. And health and safety, particularly in fieldwork, is a major concern. So, get out there, have fun, and experience one of the most pleasurable parts of paleontology. And with that, thank you very much.